fun no matter what. And very interesting as we get into the load screen here, we see that Prolly has taken heal for his middle lane on Twisted Fate. No ignite, no cleanse, no teleport, as I will not rule that out anymore after seeing Nijaki do disgusting things with teleport last game. But opted to go for heal on Twisted Fate. I don't know if I just don't see enough Twisted Fates or if that's just something very interesting for Prolly, but I just normally don't see a lot of heals in the mid lane, Sullla.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange with Twisted Fate, with the way he wants to gate in and sort of burst someone down quickly. Ignite just seems like sort of a standard thing that you'd use in a lot of situations. I also see Cleanse and sometimes even Ghost on Twisted Fate are all options that I've seen at various different points in time. I'm not sure I've seen much heal, but my best guess is just he wants a better chance to survive the burst of Veigar, and if he is about to get blown up by Veigar, he can pop his summoner heal, and all of a sudden he's got another 200 or 300 health. So that might just be what he's thinking. I don't know. I am curious as well. It's definitely sort of an odd choice there. You just don't see it that often.
No, you really don't. We do see here that it looks like that, once again, Curse going for an aggressive jungle invade is going to go over to the blue buff where you expect Malphite to start, but it looks like Legion's a little more hip to this right now, as they are going to be going towards their bottom lane. Could Malphite be going for a red buff? I don't think so. I think what they're going to do is just walk into the enemy side blue buff and take that one, and there they go, reading my mind like the ESP that we have between each other, even though I don't play this game with them at all, so I don't know what the ESP connection is. But they are just going to be...
Legion did ward their blue buff immediately at the start of the game, so they did know that Curse went, and actually both teams now do have that blue buff warded.
And it looks like that Curse is going to be going... be taking their red buff. We did see Hotshot favoring red buff on Nautilus a lot at MLG, or they're going to be going in potentially contesting this blue buff, or we're just going to have people running around in circles a lot, Sullla. I don't know right now, but it looks like that Curse is going to be content to start at the rate, give Nautilus his red buff, and then just continue on the jungle pattern like that, whereas Legion is waiting in this brush here, potentially seeing if they're going to go for a blue buff steal or something, but it doesn't look like anything is going to pop up. They could just wind up going in and taking Curse's blue buff, and we could have a lot of hoopla for absolutely nothing, as it looks like they're just going to fall back into jungle patterns and be a-okay.
It looks like Legion is going to go, and it looks like they're going to be able to get the blue from Curse without any real issues. It's a pretty gutsy play, because you usually don't see people trying to invade against the level 1 lineup that Curse has in this game. Alistar is terrifying at level 1. Veigar is not bad either, because he does have that AoE stun. He can choose to level his stun first, and he can actually hit everybody on the team with it. And Nautilus is actually decent at level 1 as well, just because of his passive, the way that he's able to stun people with his auto attack. So that's a pretty ballsy move, and we actually have Shen setting up for an early gank down here in bottom lane, although I think he may have given it away.
I don't know, he does have taunt there. He does taunt Alistar after the pulverize though, so Alistar's kind of held in place for that one. Element's getting dangerously low, but Damunlal and Anubis not going to be able to finish that one off. Looks like Urgot's going to just throw a couple claws their way and be a-okay. So it was a very good gank there in the bottom lane. They almost took down Elements. Did not burn any of his summoner spells though, so Elements is very, very smart as not do see here Safe Vicious right away going in towards the blue buff after his red buff, and it's going to be contesting this from Legion. Ribbon is actually coming down here to try to deal with it too. Veigar looks to be in position for it as well, so nobody's actually going to be able to stop this, as Legion's going to wind up losing their own blue buff after taking Curse's blue buff. So we just have a lot of buff swaps going on. Shen's going to be taking his own red buff, so they each have each other's blue, they have their own reds, and that's about it.
And net result is absolutely nothing.
Nothing!
Whatever. That was one case where Legion did know that their blue was being stolen, but there was just no way for them to go in and contest it. They would have lost that fight if they had tried to go in and contest that one early on. We did have one or two interesting item choices in terms of what people started with. Elements started with boots and wards. He actually did not start with any health pots, so he did have to go back to base after he took that initial damage. That's why he's still level 1. Shouldn't be that big of a deal for him. Shouldn't be that big of a setback, but he did actually start with slightly different than the normal starting stuff. St. Vicious also started with the regrowth pendant on jungle Nautilus, which is again a very viable start, but he did not start with the boots. He was going straight into that early Philostone, so that is also something just a little bit unusual. So he's going to be moving a little bit more slowly around the map. One thing that tells us is that probably means he's looking to farm early on as opposed to gank, because he doesn't have the boots, but he's gotten ahead on his passive gold build, so he's going to be getting he's going to be a little bit ahead in terms of gold, especially over Shen, who in the early game, and of course went with boots instead of going and rushing that part of the gold.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting to see that a lot of Mortis opted for a boot start rather than going for that Ruby Crystal into an early Hardo goal. That probably does mean that he's going to want to be a little more gank heavy than St. Vicious' Nautilus that decided to start with the passive and go for GP10 build. Speaking of gank heavy, we do see him going right in here onto Westrise. Riven is going to have to go towards the tower. I don't think you want to do that because she's going to get taunted in tower range right away. That is a first blood for Cruiser the Bruiser Malphite in the top lane. Burning through only a couple of health potions on top of his 89 armor already.
Yeah,
so
that is not what Riven wants to see in that top lane, and that's going to give a pretty significant early game lead to Legion up there, especially in top lane. Just a very nice gank, although we now have another one in
We
mid.
do have a gank. Oh, yeah, middle lane here. Nijaki lands a stun. It looks like there's a dredge line that goes down too onto St. Vicious. There was a summoner spell burned there, but he's going to be getting away A-OK, probably that is, as he does have to burn through a couple spells and just make St. Vicious and Nijaki kind of fall off there. He actually used the summoner heal. That's what he used to stay alive. So he does still have his flash up. So Twisted Fate, you know, he's using that, like you said, that heals a little bit more of a defense to live through that burst and live through the gank. That he does have his flash up still. So now, even if they do come around for another gank right now, he could burn that flash and he could still be relatively safe. And that is wasting a lot of Nautilus' time.
He probably didn't need to use his summoner heal, though. He would have actually burning the summoner heal, so he did jumped the gun a little bit there. I guess he overestimated the damage. Still better to be safe than sorry. He doesn't want to give away the advantage that Legion has right there, but it was an unnecessary use of summoner heal. He did not actually have to use that. Anyway, the middle lane aside from that is pretty much even. Still probably would prefer to burn summoner heal over flash, as you just said, so he probably is reasonably happy with how that turned out.
Oh yeah, definitely. We do see in the meantime that Shen, after that successful gank up top, has been able to go back, even though he started boots, just immediately bought a Heart of Gold regardless, so he is doing just fine in the farm department. Nautilus, meanwhile, has countered by picking up a Philosopher's Stone, but does not have those boots. Actually does pick up the boots too, I just read that one wrong. He does have his boots too, so both junglers relatively on par with one another right now. As we did say, they are both kind of slow on the jungle side, but Malphite right now in the top lane is really rolling in the dough with boots in addition to his cloth armor. He started with a Philosopher's Stone and wards. I think he's going to be relatively safe in that matchup against Riven right now.
Shen is actually ahead in gold if you check the two if you check the junglers right now, just because he did get that first blood. Oh, we actually have a gank coming in bottom lane, 4-man gank here with the Twisted Fate ult coming in as well. But I think Curse is actually going to be able to find their way out of this.
Yeah, that was just like I said, the really good use of the two ultimate from Twisted Fate and the presence of Shen on the map. But Elements, I think, a little bit too far back for that one. I think Legion kind of jumped the gun and did not let them extend as far as they probably could. If they had been maybe just a couple steps further, it could have been just very, very poor for them. But Alistar did not burn the flash in that beginning gank, neither did Urgot, so they had both the summoner spells up. And even though 4 people came down there, Curse just kind of got out of their A-OK, and they wound up burning Twisted Fate's ultimate for it too.
Yeah, it wasn't, I mean, they didn't get a kill, but it wasn't a terrible gank either. They did burn 2 flashes, which is pretty significant. So it wasn't terrible, but still at the same time, when you send 4 people down into a lane, you are expecting to get a kill, and they were not able to do that. So I'm sure that Legion will be somewhat disappointed with that, and Curse is probably going to be pretty happy that they escaped without issue right there. Anyway, elsewhere on the map, we do see that in middle lane, Nijaki has been pretty far ahead in this lane, perhaps because of that initial pressure. St. Vicious is standing on a ward, but it is standing on a ward, so he is spotted right now, and will probably be okay on this particular one. And they may even try to turn and try to fight this with Shen. But Nijaki is definitely ahead. He's got that passive gold ticking. He does have the lucky pick sitting there, and he is he's actually managing to outfarm this lane too. Wow, they actually managed to burn the flash from St. Vicious right there, but he was about to get caught by Shen. So nicely played there on the part of Legion.
Yeah, actually it was kind of funny because both junglers sides of the middle lane, and both of them are standing on opposite enemy wards. Curse is over here and Legion's over here, so they kind of knew everything what was going on, and they just had this little weird dance where Nautilus decided to stay in the bush even though he saw Shen walk blatantly through the middle lane. It was like, maybe if I stand perfectly still they won't notice that I'm here, but they did, and he had to burn flash to get out of there. So a little bit of an interesting choice from St. Vicious here, but they're just going to walk around, giving Nijaki that blue buff. And as you said, Nijaki's doing a really great job of continuing to farm up his middle lane and staying ahead of Prowly, who has left his lane a couple times. just to really roam around the map and try to push advantages there. Now with that blue buff, spamming up that baleful strike of his, he does currently have plus 34 on it, so he's doing a really good job of blasting with it and keeping his farm up ahead. With that blue buff, I expect to see him adding more and more amounts of damage onto that Q as the game goes on.
That's right. The one thing about Twisted Fate is when you do leave that middle lane, it does mean that it's time when you're not farming, and it's time when the other team can sit back and free farm. So anytime Nijaki is by himself in lane, he's just last hitting creeps, building up that AP, farming up that sweet AP. So he as long as the Twisted Fate ult doesn't actually turn into a kill, that means that it's an advantage for Curse. Oh, right here we actually do have probably getting caught right here, but not quite enough burst damage from Nijaki to pick off a kill. Now, he didn't actually use his ult in that particular exchange either, but probably he's going to have to be careful. He's probably going to have to go back to base soon, because if he gets caught in another stun right now on 50% health, he will die to that burst combo. In the other lanes, it looks like bottom lane is pretty much even thus far. I haven't really seen a whole lot of action. We saw the one attempted gank there, but otherwise bottom lane's pretty much been dead even, and they've just both been farming away back there. Ezreal's been farming at range with his Mystic Shot, and it doesn't look like Urgot's been able to hit too many of his corrosive charges so far, because both sides, like we said, are really just farming it up, and there hasn't been too much action there.
We did see that Urgot has opted to go for his Brutalizer first, immediately after his boosted 3 health potion start, whereas Damunlaw has had to burn through a lot of his health potions, picked up a Doran's Blade in addition to upgrading to his Berserker Greaves right away. And we do see Damunlaw going for a Mystic Shot build over the Essence Flux build. We see a lot of players building that W to harass in the lane, but considering just the tankiness of Urgot and the tankiness of Alistar, he is going for a little bit more of a passive farm by leveling up that Mystic Shot, as you said. Middle lane, meanwhile, probably getting bursted down under the tower from that Event Horizon. Actually, Shen Shield and Summoner Heal going down. Now they're going to turn it down onto Nijaki, throwing out those wild cards. Shen is not going to be able to catch up in time, so quick little save there. Great reaction time by Lord of Mortis out of the jungle to save his AP mid, as Nijaki just had a lot of damage going down onto Twisted Fate. Without that shield and the heal, he would have been dead, but I guess probably knows best taking that Summoner Heal after all.
That definitely did keep him alive in that exchange. I guess the one thing that's kind of interesting, if you were that worried about getting killed in mid, maybe Twisted Fate wasn't necessarily the AP to pick, because again, remember, they did pick Twisted Fate after they saw Veigar on the team. So I almost feel like if you're going to play that defensively with the Summoner Heal and the constant use of Shen ult, maybe you could have just picked a mid that was, a little bit tankier. You could have picked somebody like, Galio wasn't banned for this game, someone who's going to build up a lot of magic resistance. So anyway, I'm not trying to doubt the players here or anything. It just seems kind of interesting that that probably is sort of living in fear that he's going to get killed by Veigar, but we actually do have the Twisted Fate ult coming out right here, and we do have some action going on in mid.
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be a depth charge going on to Shen. If you look like he wanted to come in for a gank right here, there's not going to be enough damage really to take him down, as he is a very tanky champion. He did get extremely low, but he is going to be A-okay. Probably not really able to do too much in response to this. Did go for double Doran's Ring and then for a Sheen, so he's trying to stack the auto attack damage, potentially going for maybe more of a little bit of a push, and the Twisted Fate map presence really is why they picked them up in the middle lane. But like I said, maybe they were thinking that Nijaki was just going to be able to sit back and farm on Veigar no matter what, so they wanted to take a champion that could have a little bit more global map presence. But at this point in time, the early stages of the game, it's really not working out for them as well as they wanted to. Nijaki is very far ahead. He's a level up onto Twisted Fate and about 20 CS ahead too, so probably he's going to have to play a little bit of catch up if he wants to do anything in the late game.
Now, so far we haven't seen the Twisted Fate pick work out. He hasn't been able to go anywhere else in the map and get a kill thus far, and Nijaki is, as you said, really winning that middle lane quite hard. He is definitely ahead. Let's check the global gold here. He's only ahead about 350 gold, but again, with Veigar, his weakness is his laning phase. He's very weak in lane. As he continues to farm up, he starts to become extremely strong. He's up to, what, I think about roughly 75 extra damage right now on his Q. So he just needs to survive the laning phase, and he's not just surviving it, he's winning it. So that's a very good sign for Curse. I know that they're behind right now in the global gold, mostly because of that first blood and because of what's been going on in top lane, but they have to be happy with how that middle lane is going thus far.
Oh yeah, definitely. The mid lane is definitely going in favor of Curse right now. Nijaki's doing a really great job of keeping it that way. We just see a Twisted Fate ultimate being popped right now, but no teleports anywhere on the map as of yet. Urgot, meanwhile, on the bottom lane, has been able to farm up his Glacial Shroud, so now peaking at 101 armor. He's really contesting Malphite for the tankiest champion in the game right now award, as Malphite has 163. But waiting in the wings of this top lane, we do see that Shen could potentially be going for a gank down on the West Race. I think he's just a little bit too far out of position, though. And I just want to mention the fact that Shen is currently level 7, whereas St. Vicious' Nautilus is level 8. So Shen actually fallen a little bit behind, maybe because of those ultimates to save Twisted Fate in the middle, and because of his roaming around the map presence, too. So the jungler in the mid lane, once again, a little bit of an Achilles heel for Legion in the early stages of the game.
Nijaki went up top lane. He was trying to get a kill up there, but he actually did walk through a ward in the tri-brush, so Legion did spot him. That's why that didn't end up working. They may be trying to set up for a potential blue steal. There is the Twisted Fate ult coming out, and here we get the fight. We see Shen ult coming in as well, but Nijaki just immediately flashes over the wall and able to escape with no problems whatsoever. So that's 2 big-time ultimates down right now for Legion.
And that is the power of this Shen and Twisted Fate ultimate we were talking about in Champion Select. Unfortunately, it was not as well executed as it could be right there. Nijaki knowing when to flash, just in a little bit of time between the gold card going off and the Shen taunt coming out. So just a very, very well executed flash in time was able to save him there. And still, actually, Urgot in the bottom lane here has a Twisted Fate ultimate bug above his head, so I keep thinking that he's trying to teleport in here, but he's not. So supporting a little bit of a new do, but we do see they are going to transition the fact that both those ultimates were burned into Dragon because they know they're going to be safe from Twisted Fate and Shen just randomly teleporting in. And there's 4 people down here from Curses. Westrade's continuing just to sit around in the middle lane, zone it out. Demudlaw with a little bit too early on the Ezreal ultimate, almost got the steal off on Dragon because they did have a pink sitting right there, but unfortunately for Legion, that is going to be Curse's Dragon. Now they basically all but tied up that gold advantage caused by Malphite's first blood in the top lane.
That's right, although it looks like top tower will go down here as well. That's the classic trade in this game. One team takes Dragon, the other team takes tower and top, so that's actually going to leave the gold more or less where it was before. Actually, Legion pulls slightly ahead right there because Cruiser was farming in top lane while all that action was going on. And we see Twisted Fate coming up here to top. His ult is about to come off cooldown, so we may see an attempted kill right here from Legion on to Curse, although Westbrice has back, so we'll see if they choose to go for this. Doesn't look like they're going to. Overall, still a very even game right now, really anybody's game. If anything though, I might have to give the slight advantage to Curse just because they're so much stronger in that middle lane, and it feels to me as though the other lanes are pretty much even. I'm not really seeing that big of a difference in bottom lane. It looks like both sides are very, very even in terms of farm, and we've seen very few kills from either team thus far. And even though Riven has not really been able to make much of a dent on Malphite, Riven has been farming, so that top lane's been relatively even as well. If anything, it's just, it's really the middle lane that's kind of been the difference in this game thus far. That and the fact that, Legion was able to take that tower, so they're able to get the global gold to balance the Dragon. So, really, it is anyone's game right now. It's quite even. Although we may see Nijaki starting to go in for the kill now that he has completed his first item, his Deathfire Grasp right there. So that will add a lot of potential killing power to his Veigar combo. So I'm gonna have to keep an eye on wherever Nijaki is right now, because he can, blow somebody up in literally 1 second once he starts getting a lot of AP.
Yeah, he really, really can. But speaking of item choices, I want to pan down to the bottom lane. We haven't talked about this all too much right now, but Demudlaw's Ezreal's opted to go for a pickaxe first. I thought he was going for a quick Infinity Edge, but he has gone back and picked up a Phage now, so he's kind of halfway in between both builds right there. I don't really know what he's going to be going for. Could potentially see him going for a Trinity Force and then picking up an Infinity Edge, or maybe even going straight into a Last Whisper. I don't really know, but it's not normally you see an Ezreal go for both builds at the same time like that.
I actually have seen this build. The idea is just that you want to get the chance for a Phage proc on Ezreal's Q, so it allows him to chase even if he doesn't have red buff. It's a little bit unorthodox. I have seen it though, and actually it is the play right there. The flash swap coming in onto Ezreal right there from bottom lane. The focus looks to be turning to Janna right now. They have to switch on the Nubish. Out comes the Shen ult though right here, and then they're going to jump in. Nijaki is here as well, using that Event Horizon stun, and Ezreal will fall, but they're going to pick up Janna as well, so that's going to be a 2-for-0 right there, even with the Shen ult coming in.
I'm very surprised we'd actually see Probably respond with a Twisted Fate ultimate on top of this. That would have really turned the fight around, but I don't think they saw Nijaki coming down at all until he crossed that Dragon Board, and by then it was all but a little too late. We just see Probably using the ultimate actually just to go back into the bottom lane now onto Urgot, as it looks like Shen did not really leave them alone. Nijaki did go back. Urgot is extremely low. Shen will be picking up that kill. Nijaki though going to burst down Probably, and I don't think any amount of Summoner heal is going to save him right there, as he does immediately die, even with the a summoner heal on him.
No.
So that is just the power of Nijaki farm.
No amount of summoner heal was going to save him from that. Nijaki used every single one of his skills. He hit the full Veigar combo, and that was a 100-0 kill. So that's always fun to see anytime that you see that. So nicely done right there. And we actually are starting to see Curse picking up a bit of a lead. They're only got a 1,000 gold lead right now. They're going to turn and see if they can focus on Shenron here, but it looks like he's going to be okay and back out. But yeah, they have been pushing on these lanes, and they've been picking up a couple of kills in these last couple of exchanges, but it is still a close game. It's only about a 1,000 gold difference. So we will see where it ends up going from here.
And after all of that, we just saw the main power of Nijaki and that brilliant burst gun we had down on the Twisted Fate. As I said, I didn't know why Twisted Fate did not ultimate into that fight earlier. I guess maybe he was just out of range. It did look like he was pushed back to base. Now picking up his Lich Bane, Twisted Fate might be able to start doing a little bit more damage, but he really does need to start getting a little bit more AP before that Lich Bane is going to be doing what it wants to do, which is adding the extra magic damage or extra physical damage based on his AP onto his auto attacks, which he really used to push down towers and make a huge difference in team fights. Very interesting to see it being picked up as the first item though, even though he's probably running the ability power per level runes. He only has 129. Meanwhile, if we look at Nijaki, who's been kind of farming up and teleporting out of my mouse click range, 234 on him at this point in time. So Twisted Fate isn't really hitting as hard in the ability power department as that farmed up Veigar has been out of the middle lane.
No, not hitting nearly as hard as Veigar is right now. The Lich Bane does make sense. He wants the extra magic resistance, and of course it does synergize pretty well with the whole setup for Twisted Fate. Sheen's always been sort of one of his key items, but you're right, he just doesn't hit nearly as hard right now. And the way that just sort of the philosophy behind AP mid is, oh, here we see another combo coming in. Is that going to be enough damage? Yes, 100-0 from Nijaki. So wow, that Veigar burst right now, he is only going to get stronger as this game goes on. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make, sort of the philosophy of sort of AP mid is usually APs, the whole idea is you want to just have the damage that you can just burst somebody down immediately, as opposed to the ADs, which are more about, you know, the sustained damage over time. And of course we have casters that are damage over time casters as well, but sort of the classic idea when you think of an AP is, I'm going to walk into this fight and I'm just going to blow somebody up instantly, you know, if you've got Annie or Cassiopeia or Veigar or something like that. And Nijaki's just fulfilling that role much better right now than probably is. So that is really a position on the map where if somebody starts to get fed, they can just be in a position to carry the game. And we'll see if Nijaki's able to do that. He's certainly off to a good start, 2-0, and he's already able to, it looks like if he can catch probably the stun, first one down from 100-0, and that's a really scary position to be in when you're up against an enemy in mid that can do that to you at potentially any point in time.
And like I said, picking up the Lich Bane first is a very, very powerful item for the Twisted Fate build. However, actually it looks like the Cruiser is going to come down here and get his first taste of non-physical damage in that form of the Veigar with the little stun and the AoE damage that got burst down and blew through his entire shield. So that's still a lot of damage though, considering Malphite has a decent amount of HP, and that shield's not necessarily the weakest thing in the world. So Veigar's dealing a lot of burst damage even to the tank of Legion right now. They are going to, looks like, go for a dragon here. They're going to successfully take that, but they are going to possibly trade this second top tower. Don't necessarily know if that's going to be worth it. Probably is going to be throwing cards over here, but not dealing nearly enough damage to that Riven. Ezreal ultimate gets burned too. I don't think that's necessarily the best thing in the world. I was going to say Nautilus is going to pull down on the Prowly, pick up a kill on him as the rest of Legion trickles in here for a team fight. Cruiser is stuck in the middle of everything. Look at the event horizon and the damage go out to Cruiser. He is a very tanky Malphite. He's getting blown up by the AP of that Veigar. Curse Cop in the meantime is going to land a couple more of those claws down onto Janna, and he is going to fall as well. So that is just a very, very quick 2-0 and a tower for Curse, as they right now just have all the pushing power in the world. They're just going to continue to push down onto Legion's inhibitor turret here. They could potentially take the inhibitor down, and we're just talking a lot about Nijaki in this game and how far he's getting. The rest of Curse looks super, super beefy as well. Event Horizon has zoned everyone off of the inhibitor. Looks like a lot of more taking a lot of damage from the rest of the fight here. They are going to go on to Elements, who have to pop the ultimate to run away. I don't think they're going to be able to get the inhibitor this time around, but honestly, at this point in time, they're about 1,000 gold apart at this point, and I did not expect Curse to really take a fight that decisively.
The global gold counter says it's only 4,000 gold. It feels like it's more about 10,000 gold right now, just due to the way that Curse was playing that. We mentioned before the match. Oh, here we go. They're going to turn on this fight. Wow.
Ooh, but a very nice Malphite ultimate is going to be able to take down Elements. Everybody from Curse was stuck in the same area. Looks like Cop is going to go down. Westrice is very, very low. They are taking a lot of damage down onto St. Vicious. That's a double kill for Ezreal. Cruiser getting really low from that shot from Vigar, but Vigar is slowed. Flash into Gold card will pick up a kill. Twisted Fate is going to get that. It looks like Baron gets aggroed by one of the Twisted Fate cards, and Legion's like, oh, that's a pretty good idea. Let's go for Baron right now. They took out 4 members of Curse in that fight. Curse just overstaying their welcome a little bit too long. Legion is struggling a little bit with this Baron, but I think they're going to be able to take it, and that is just a complete turnaround after what looked to be a very dominant push from Curse.
It's a complete utter turnaround. I was just about to sit here and praise Curse for their outstanding play a minute ago, and then they're sitting there thinking that they're going to turn on this fight, that they're going to be able to pick off, maybe 1 or 2 people on Legion. Instead, the entire Legion team is there, all having gotten healed from reviving back in base, and meanwhile, Curse is still highly damaged from that last sequence of fights, and 4-0 and Baron for Legion, and now they are actually back in the driver's seat. They've tied it up on gold. They're going to have the Baron buff to work with for the next 4 minutes. That infusion of gold is exactly what they needed, so they shouldn't have any trouble holding their inhibitor while they have this Baron buff. And we'll see if Prowly's going to be able to make it out of here. This is the gold card. Westrice is coming in here, so they may end up losing one member of their team. Here comes the Cavalry, though. Are they going to manage to save Twisted Fate here, or will he go down? Yes, they do manage to save him. And instead, it's Westrice is going to go down, and now Elements is the one who's going to have to try to make it out of here.
Yeah, and he has an Oracle Selection on him. He does not want to fall. He's popping the ultimate to try to live. Ooh, there's another Malphite ultimate going to knock up Nijaki in that one as well. Zamunla now on a killing spree as he gets the last blow onto Elements and Alistar. That is no more Oracle's Elixir for Curse. And now Curse is just kind of going into a conga line of death against Legion. They're continually thinking that after that push, they are super strong. Oh, speaking of super strong, look at the burst down onto Cruiser. Urgot, though, not dealing any damage to him with those attacks. He's going to live through that initial burst and everything. Looks like a Shen ultimate went down on him, but he actually canceled it, or was canceled by Nautilus in the bottom lane. As Nautilus and Shen, the 2 junglers, are dueling in the bottom while everything else is going on over here. Legion could potentially push down this tower. It is less than half health out of the middle lane. Urgot and Vigar are both very low. I don't think they're going to be able to really contest this one. They're just going to fall back, let that tower fall. And wow, Legion just basically was in a down position coming back from out of nowhere. Curse just a little overextended, thinking they're a little bit too strong and got severely punished for it. I was talking about before how the gold count was only about 1,000 behind when Legion went to take that dragon. I didn't think the fight was going to be that decisive. Well, that was why, because the teams were a lot closer than they looked in those fights, Sullla.
It looked like Legion was basically out of this match. It looked like Curse was just going to do the same thing we saw in the first game and just snowball their minor lead, as you said, the 1,000 gold lead, that they're going to take that and then get up to the 4,000 gold lead, and then next thing they force a Baron fight, and then they'd have a 10,000 gold lead. But no, we see exactly the opposite. That one fight really swinging the game around, putting Legion back in it, and then Westrice's attempt to pick off that kill on Prowly then ended up handing another 2 kills to Legion. And Elements, the support Alistar, lost his Oracle in that exchange as well. So Legion is very much back in this game. They're ahead. They just need to see if they can get something out of their Baron. There is a fight going on in top lane. It's the same 2 champs going at it again. Prowly and Westrice. Westrice is going to have to burn his flash. He will make it out of there okay. Twisted Fate ultimate being burned there as well. So we'll see where they go. They probably should. They already did get middle tower. They did get that initial middle tower. It'll be a little bit disappointing for them if they're not able to get a little bit more out of their Baron than this. You see the bottom tower falling for Legion. But at this point, they're going to need to just regroup, think it over, and see if they can manage to catch somebody out of position again on Team Curse, the way that we've seen happen a couple times before. They do have a number of champions that are going to become stronger in the late game. They do have Shen, who is just going to be able to slowly split push Team Curse to death the longer the game comes on. He is a little bit under-farmed. He only has the 108 minion kills. That feels a little bit low, especially compared to Nautilus, who has fully almost 50% more minions thus far. We actually do see Nijaki lurking in the wings right here, and is he going to get the kill? Yes. Just going to blow up Nubish, the poor support Janna. That's going to be the 4th
100 to 0.
Yes, that's a bad place for a girl and her tornado to be.
That was just the opposite of a storm from Janna, as it looked like the storm fell down upon her. Vigar picked up a very, very nice kill there, and now closing the gold gap to only a couple hundred where it had been 1,000 or so. So still, though, as you mentioned, both teams have characters that can do a lot into the later stages of the game. Vigar, of course, we talked about him all game. Twisted Fate now has a needlessly large rod, so he's going to be able to do something with that damage on the Lich Bane as well. You actually see, meanwhile, we saw Westrice taking out Shen on the top lane. As you said, Shen is a little bit behind in his farm. He could be in a little bit of a better place right now. Having a Witset and a Giant Spell, though, wasn't necessarily enough to stand up to the AD powerhouse of Riven in the top lane, although it is doing a decent amount of work against the rest of Curse we've seen so far. Curse is going to respond by taking this dragon now that members of Legion are gone. We're going to see, looks like Westrice getting a fight here as Prowly ends the Mumble going up here. Probably just does not die when he gets in a fight with Westrice right here. As it doesn't matter what champion is going to be fighting with him, he is not going to die before Westrice can take him out. And there's another kill on the board for Legion. 9-8 right now. They are hanging on to a couple hundred gold lead over Curse. Curse, of course, has the tower dominance. Legion's Baron buff has run out at this point in time, so unfortunately, like you said, not able to do too much else with it. Look at the Shirelias into the Malphite ultimate. Look, the Twisted Fate ultimate is up already, and Nijaki didn't know who to target in that fight as he wound up trying to burst down Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate did not die easily, and they just take him out and could potentially go for another tower here. Just excellent positioning, knowing to catch him out of position like that. They're going to be dealing a lot of damage on the elements, sieging down this tower right now. Malphite busted into almost 300 armor range, 390 when he activates that W. They will take down this tower. Shen goes into the con onto St. Vicious on Nautilus. Has to pop the death charge to get out of there. Element's popping ultimate will take a lot of damage. Ezreal ultimate goes over and ultimated Alistar, and actually between that and probably it will be enough to take him down. Malphite is stuck in tower range, but look how little damage he's taken between all these characters. Riven had revived and taken down Twisted Fate in that exchange though, and it does look like it is going to be what potentially a 1-for-1, I guess. St. Vicious did not die. It's technically a 2-for-1 because Nijaki fell in the middle lane before that. And Legion just continuing to take these scrappy little victories, slowly pulling more and more ahead, despite the fact that their top tower is pushed, or the top lane is pushed all the way into their inhibitor. And it looked like that they were out of it before in that Baron fight, but still continuing to prove us wrong. Legion is still very much in this game, Sullla.
I would say they're ahead in this game, and not just because of the global gold total, just because I kind of like their position going into the later game. The biggest issue for Legion right now is just the weakness of Shen. What they want is to have Shen split push, but the way that Curse is countering that right now is they're sending Westrice's Riven out to counter that split push. And right now, Westrice is so much stronger than Shen right now. He's able to win that 1v1. So until Shen is able to farm up and get in a position where he can win that 1v1, he's not going to be able to split push effectively, and that's one of the real problems right now for Legion because of their...
Well, we did see a Shirelia, we saw a Shirelia top here on Nautilus as he went to chase down Janna, placing wards. He did actually burn a flash and a Dreadline, everything to really get her down. She is not dying super easily. She will eventually fall. Urgot swap onto Prowly. He is now caught out of position. Top taking a decent amount of damage from the Munlaw, but they are going to pick up a kill on Prowly, and now Curse is the one taking it back on the Legion right now. Legion looks like they had the superiority of positioning and catching people out of place. St. Vicious says, hey, I can do that too. Pops everything to catch up to that Janna and really puts Legion in an awkward position as now they're just leaving a trail of wards to follow back to that top lane whenever they decide to show back up. Have taken down an inhibitor and now looks to be in a little bit more of a commanding lead. They are still behind by about 1,000 gold, but Baron has respawned and they're going to be going straight for the throat of this one. They have 5 members, 2 Legions, 3 right now. Janna's going to be the next one to revive. I don't even think she's going to get there in time to really contest this Baron. So it's going to be all about what the rest of Legion can do. Damunlaw's going to run into a wild Nijaki in the bush, and he will get instantly taken down. So now it looks like no one can really contest this Baron buff from Curse. And we're talking about Legion pulling ahead and taking advantage from all this stuff that Curse is doing wrong. Curse immediately turns it back onto them and takes them out. Looks like a Malphite ultimate is going to try to let Laudamortis live, but Laudamortis and that Westrice going at it. Riven will take down Shen, as we said. Too much damage from Riven for Shen to really contest with. Cruiser the Bruiser is taking the entire team of Curse, but eventually even the hardest of rocks must fall to being chipped away with damage, and he is not going to be able to survive a Baron buff Curse team, as now they are up 14-11, taking the blue buff, took the Baron buff, took the gold lead, and now we're just back to square one where we were about 5 minutes ago?
Yeah, it's we actually have a TF ult coming in here, and it looks like Nijaki's going to go down right here, or yes, he is going to fall, but now he's probably going to get picked off as well, so it turns into a 1-for-1 exchange, and blue buff transfer is complete over to Urgot. Anyway, right now, Curse has pulled ahead. Even though the global gold is quite close, they're really in a very dominant position because they have both Baron and an inhibitor down. They have that top lane inhibitor down right now. Like I said a minute ago, Legion, I felt that Legion was in a very strong position, but they just got caught. Unfortunately, their Janna player, Nubish, just ended up getting caught right there, and in the process of trying to escape, they ended up losing, I believe they lost Prolly as well in that particular exchange, and as soon as they went down, that meant that they lost their inhib, and then as soon as their inhib went down, that meant that they lost Baron as well, and when the game's this close, if one team takes Baron, that really does start to snowball it. But again, I really do think the biggest issue is Shen is just too weak. I mean, we've seen these tournament matches before. Shen goes out, he just split pushes, but the fact that there's no tower in top lane means that Shen has been back in his base. He hasn't been able to split push, and he's just been underfarmed the whole game. He's just been very, very weak. So the fact that he can't really, the fact that he loses to anyone on Curse 1v1 really limits his effectiveness in that particular style of strategy. We also have some people just getting extremely fed right now on both teams, but especially for Curse. Nyjackie has got some ungodly amount of ability power, 560, and he still is he's still scaling up more and more with every minion kill and every champion kill. We also see some very, very tough bruisers on Curse as well, between the builds on Alistar, on Riven, and also on Nautilus right there. So they have a really strong front line for Nyjackie to hide behind and then just be able to burst people down, and it's very difficult to get through that tanky front line in these last couple fights.
It looks like an ultimate coming out from Twisted Fate. They are immediately going to go down with a unstoppable force on the Nyjackie, so Vigard's taken out of this fight. Depth Charge goes on to Prolly, who runs away from the fight, so no one else on Legion gets hit by that. Element taking a lot of damage through his ultimate. Westrace goes into the middle of everyone, but he's going to get blown up by the combined power of Legion. Top had a really, really strong item build with it looked like a Frozen Heart and a Maul the Malmortis, but even he will fall under the damage that Legion is able to just looks like to put out from nowhere. Looks like Nautilus is going to try to dredge line away. A flash was burned from Malmortis' Shen, and this is just back and forth so much, so I can't even tell who's ahead anymore.
Again, the key to the fight, if you notice the targeting in that fight, who do they go after? Everything used to kill Nyjackie, and he just goes down immediately, dealing no damage. And as soon as that happens, it's very, very difficult for Curse to win the fight. So even though, like I said a minute ago, they've got this super strong front line, but if Nyjackie goes down without dealing any damage, they got a lot of tankiness. They don't have as much damage. The only other person who's really legitimately scary in terms of damage is Westrice, and the focus immediately for Legion shifted over to dealing with Westrice as soon as Nyjackie was dead, and they were able to burst him down pretty quickly. Then you were left with Element, Saint and Top, all of who are really tanky. They survived for quite a long time, but they didn't really deal that much damage between all of them. I guess Murgot deals a decent amount, but Alistar, Nautilus, they're built to be bruisers. They don't really deal any damage. So if Legion can get to Nyjackie and get to Westrice, then they can win these fights. If they don't get to them, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
And we can't forget the fact that Curse had a Baron buff in that engagement too, so Legion not down and out of this at all, no matter what team sees the snowball, one advantage in whatever's favor. Both of them are very much in this right now. Global gold counts almost even. To just attest to this, the towers are a little bit ahead in favor of Curse, but the kills are all evened up as well. Looks like another Prolly ultimate is going to go down. Grab Saint Vicious out of here. Malphite ultimate even goes down on the top, and Nyjackie that what it looks like, but he is immediately going to get blown up by Nyjackie, and Saint Vicious will just tap him on the head for that last little hit for the kill there. So now it looked like a really good position for Legion, but the rest of Curse just trickling in there. This time it worked for them, kind of calling a lining in one by one.
It did look like a good initiation, but the initiation was on Saint Vicious, and he's just very, very tanky. They were not able to burst him down, and then Nyjackie was able to turn, and he actually 100-0 Cruiser, which is pretty incredible considering just how strong Cruiser is right now. But when Nyjackie, when they're not able to reach him, the tiny little Yordle of Evil, he will burst you down 100-0, and we saw that in that last exchange.
Inhibitor has been destroyed.
Yes, indeed. So Curse is going to pick up their second inhibitor of the game. Event Horizon is going to let them get away. Saint Vicious, you know, just kind of do the parting dredge line. Maybe we caught someone. Oh, speaking of catching someone, the Mumlo gets flopped over the wall, but he can just arcane kick over there. Top's in the middle of everybody. Janna has to burn the ultimate to reposition everybody out of there. Depth Charge does go off on Prolly. Prolly gets pretty low, but he will not be taken out. And that just looks like a delayed exit there from Curse after all those swaps and
Janna
shifts and
saved that fight. That was a beautiful Janna ult. It allowed them to get a clean disengage when they would have been in a lot of trouble otherwise.
And the rest of Curse is now going to just be content to go back, pick up some items. Looks like Probably is going to teleport in here, try to stop the recall on the top, but he will immediately get into a Event Horizon. Shen ultimate goes down, does not save him, but does save him long enough for Ezreal to pick up a kill on the Nijaki. So they're just picking and choosing fights, picking up kills wherever they can, and this is an exciting game, Sullla.
This is one of the better games I've seen in some time right there. The two AP mids basically just simultaneously blowing one another up, but the Shen ult was used there, and that's one of the more significant ults to be down, so that means Legion is not really able to do too much in terms of split pushing or anything crazy like that while that Shen ult is down. But considering how strong Nijaki is, at any point in time he's not on the map farming is probably a win for Legion right now. We also are going to have Baron buff up relatively soon in about 2 minutes, so we probably will see both teams paying attention to that. If Curse is able to take one more Baron buff, they will probably be able to finish taking over Legion's base. If Legion's able to get it, then we'll probably start to see them start to get some vision.
We do have a depth charge going in here as 3 members of Legion go on to St. Vicious. Once again, St. Vicious so tanky, the wrong target to engage on. He will take down the Munlal, so there goes all of their physical damage right now. Shen, Malphite going to come in here to try to help out with Janna. Janna's going to be running away with 2 members of Curse, and she is going to be taken down by Westerice's Riven as he comes in from the back. With a Guardian Angel now, that Riven is going to be very, very hard target to kill twice in these fights. So it looks like there are 2 people now down for Legion, their bottom lane AD and their support. Alice actually going with a nice headbutt. He's going to pulverize down onto Shen as well. Malphite is trying to protect Shen as much as he can, as now they are 3-4 members of Curse pushing down onto the exposed inhibitor. Probably's back up with the advantage. He gets immediately burned. A swap, a headbutt, a pulverize, and everything. And no HP is left there for Prowley, as it looks like Shen and Malphite not going to be able to really go through this. They are taking a lot of damage, but they're not really going to be able to deal anything back onto Curse, so they're just prolonging this inhibitor going down. Cruiser will get out of there. Depth charge comes back up. The fight has been going on for this long. As he pops that down on the Cruiser, they take down the inhibitor. They're going on to the Nexus turrets. The Mudlall and Janna are going to be up in about a second or 2 right now. Cruiser, though, gets bursted down between Nijaki and Riven's ultimate. No HP left on him. Riven will get taken down by the Mudlall, but the Guardian Angel is up. This Nexus does not look long for the world, and I don't think John and Ezreal can defend. No, it is going to be a 2-0 sweep. Curse takes Legion out of the IPL5 qualifiers, and I can't even talk after that fight. So
it's really a great game. Really well played by both sides. We talked about this before the match in the end. Curse's crowd control, I think, really did prove to be the difference. Even in that last fight, Elements had a great headbutt hold initiate. He caught 3 members of Legion with that, and I mean, at that point, the fight was probably already lost, but we saw over and over again people on Legion getting caught out, people getting picked off one by one, and they were just never really able to get their globals working. I mean, they did use Shen ult effectively at times, they did use Twisted Fate ult, but they never really got sort of that whole global presence thing going. Meanwhile, Curse was able to catch a lot of people and just freeze them in place with their various crowd controls. So a really nicely played game, very well done by both sides, and I had a lot of fun watching Nijaki just burst people from 100 to 0 in those particular fights. So a nice game by both sides.
Yeah, it was definitely